Hi everyone, and welcome to another Closers LinkedIn webinar. Forgive me, I'm out on site at the moment with a client, and I don't have the same sound setup that we do in the office. So forgive me if the sound isn't the same quality as previously. As always, a big thank you to everybody who has signed up for the webinar and joined. Again, lots of people from not just the UK but all over the world. I'm really grateful for your support, and I'm very grateful for the support of our existing clients who have signed up and are joining us again. So I'm really grateful. A little bit about me. My name's Ian Swanston. I'm the CEO and founder of Closers. I've been in sales since I left school. I love what I do. Sales is just the greatest job in the world. So it's such a great industry to be in. So hopefully you get as much enjoyment out of it as I do. So today we're going to be talking about sales effectiveness. A little bit of a different setup with the screens here. So it's part me live talking, part me delivering a presentation, and part of what I would describe as looking over my shoulder. At the end, I will show you the actual way that we do things at Closers, because one of the things that we always like to do is we only teach the strategies and tactics that we actually use in our own business. The reason for that is that it gives us a much deeper understanding of how everything works, whether that be lead generation, converting, presentations. Even today, we're going to be talking about the way that we work, but it shows you we can show you exactly how we do things so that there's no mystification. And I also, in my head, and this may be wrong, but I seem to think that if you teach things that you don't do yourself in your own business, I think you could be a little bit of a hypocrite there. So when it comes to sales, the training that we do, everything that we teach in our clients, we actually do in our own business. So and we will share the results with you, warts and all, because not everything's rosy in our garden. Sometimes things don't go perfectly. So I'm going to try and bring up a different screen here. So forgive me if this session starts off a little bit clunky. Just bear with me while I send the next one live. It's just taking a minute to load. Forgive me. Send that live. So there we go. So I'm just going to move this team screen out of the way. So 5 strategies to unlock sales effectiveness. And this is something that we did previously in the business, and we continue to revisit this because it's really helped us understand what are the most important levers to pull in terms of driving the sales growth that we've got at the moment. So let me just see if I can get my screen moving here. So just before we start, quick advertisement. We're coming out to the market now that the lockdowns have gone. We're coming out to visit people, and we've got some live events planned for this year. London, 25th of April, Berlin in May, and Mumbai in September. We'd love you to join us. So details on those events are on the website under the events tab. Surprise, surprise. So it would be great if you could come along and meet us in person, and we can help you grow your business moving forward. So the genesis of how we sort of came about this process, for want of a better word, was that we, many years ago, I was fascinated by a thing called the Harvard Balanced Scorecard. And at the time, I discovered the Balanced Scorecard. It was being implemented by a company in the UK called Tesco Stores. Now, At the time, I was working as a supplier to Tesco stores, and when I would go into their offices, I would find there, and this was on the distribution side, so I don't know anything about food and wine, anything like that. It was on the distribution side we were working. But I knew nothing about the Harvard Balance Scorecard, and every time I went in, outside their offices, they had what was called the Tesco steering wheel. And the Tesco steering wheel was this, obviously it was a circular drawing, infograph, I think is a better word, and it helped you understand how Tesco's were managing the business. And I would always ask the management teams that I was visiting about the steering wheel, where they would fit in, and how we could then, as a supplier, then help them with their KPIs within that steering wheel. So the Tesco steering wheel was excuse me, their customized version of the Harvard Balance Scorecard. And this is probably going back, let me think, this is probably going back 20 years. Yeah, it'll be at least 20 years ago. So whether you're a fan of Tesco stores or not, the growth that they had was phenomenal. And a lot of it they put down to this management system. If you looked at the Tesco steering wheel, if you Google it, you can still see it. It's a real thing. And it's been customized, and as is the Harvard Balance Scorecard, but most people are put off by it because it seems very complicated. The reality is that it's as complicated as you want to make it, and we managed to find a way to make it really simple so that it was easy for us to use. It's easy for our clients to use as well. So just a very quick overview. The Harvard Balance Scorecard is based on 4 quadrants. Each of those quadrants is a main pillar, for want of a better word, in the business. And the premise, or the I'm not sure if that's the right word, the premise or the idea behind the Balance Scorecard is that any business can only grow at the rate of the slowest growing quadrant. So any business can only grow at the rate of the slowest growing quadrant. So Tesco and Harvard, they focused around customer, and in our world that's sales and marketing, operations, people and finance. So just simply, what does that mean by you can only grow at the rate of the slowest growing quadrant? So if your sales team, in the customer segment, if your sales team go out and win an order for $1 million, the order is worthless unless operations can deliver that $1 million order. So if the sales team go out and win $1 million order, operations can deliver it, but the people are not necessarily, they might not be multi-skilled. Some of them might be on holiday, some of them might be off sick. You might need to hire additional people. If you don't have the right people in place with the right skill set, that $1 million order is again worthless. So going back to the start again, so if the salespeople win $1 million order, operations can deliver it. You've got all the people in place, but finance can't finance the deal. So that might look like you maybe need to pre-order some raw materials to actually to build the product or service, and it could be that you don't have the finance in place to actually pre-order those materials, to pre-hire the operations and the people that you need to deliver that project. The $1 million order is again worthless. So any business will only grow at the rate of the slowest growing quadrant. Now, for 95% of businesses, the 4-quadrant model works. In our experience, where we've worked with a couple of industries, and I'm sure there's more than 2, but a couple of industries where they needed a 5th quadrant. Please don't email me and say there's not 5 quadrants. There can only be 4 quadrants, but I can't remember the name for a 5th segment, but you know what I mean. The only industries that have those 5 different have an additional segment to the 4-quadrant model would be oil and gas, who would have an additional segment for health and safety, and sometimes the Financial services teams that we work with have an additional quadrant for regulation and compliance. However, most 95% of the business world out there, the four-quadrant model works. Now, what the heck has this got to do with sales? I hear you asking. So we really bought into this model, loved the simplicity of it, and what happened was that the idea is that in each segment you would create KPIs, and as long as you were meeting the KPIs and you could monitor those through a simple dashboard, a RAG, red, amber, green dashboard, you could very quickly understand what's working in your business, what's not working, what maybe needs more attention. And it was just a super simple way of managing a business on one page and cutting out all the different distractions, data, and stuff that sometimes you can end up with so much data you can't actually find what actually the real problems are. So we really bought into this and thought, well, how can we then take this and apply it to sales? So, because sales is our world much more than business, and we came out with the model of finding, closing, growing, and developing. And these are what we call the 4 high value areas of sales. So they're high value as these are the levers and the areas that you need to focus on if you want to be successful. Any one of these that is not performing at the optimum level is going to impact the growth of your business. So in the same way as the Harvard Balance Scorecard, this sales scorecard, your sales will only grow at the rate of the slowest growing quadrant. So, if you've got a team, if you've got a lead gen team, your SDRs and your marketing people are absolutely knocking the ball out the park at finding new business, that's not going to help if you can't close the deals. If you're closing the deals but you're not retaining and growing those accounts, your business is not going to grow. If you're finding, closing, and growing, but you're not constantly developing your people then become an issue in the business. You maybe, and that goes from everything from recruiting the right people to onboarding the right people, and just building that overall culture. So those are the 4, what we call the 4 high value areas of sales. And to this day, we've started using this. 2014 we started using this, and this has really served our business extremely well. I don't apologize for it being very simple, because the simpler it is, the easier it is to implement, and the more likely it is for us to use it, and our clients use this. We encourage our clients to use this, and you can see the different quadrants, and those are examples of KPIs that you could use to measure finding. We've got lead generation and cost per lead, marketing qualified lead conversion ratios, sales qualified lead conversion ratios, and I understand that every business is different. You may have a traditional business where you've got what we would call full cycle salespeople. A full cycle salesperson is somebody who is responsible for generating the lead, closing the lead, and then they also own the account enough to grow that account. Somebody who's part cycle would be somebody, for example, in an SDR role, sales development representative. An account executive would only be focused on the closing part, and a key account manager would be responsible for growing. Now, in those circumstances, you might think the model doesn't fit. The model fits regardless, because if you are a key account manager, for example, you may think, well, my main priority is growing my existing accounts. That's great, but you still have to find new opportunities within those accounts. So there's still a finding piece in there, right? You still have to close those new opportunities that you find, and you also still have to keep developing your skills and your knowledge and your own self-discipline. So regardless of what your particular role would be, if you're not what I've described as a full cycle salesperson, this works for you. So it works for the department, the company, and it works at an individual level for salespeople. Please don't get hung up on the KPIs that are there as examples, because they are purely examples. They are not, they would have to be defined for your own business. But again, for closing, we've got things like what's your pipeline value, what's your pipeline speed, qualified proposals generated, what's your customer acquisition rates. Those are common ones, I would suggest. Growing, churn, whether you're in a SaaS business or not, churn is really important. Typically 20% of, typically 80% of next year's business is going to come from this year's clients. So you've really got to make sure that you're minimizing churn, because every customer that you lose, you end up actually having to, that's an extra one that you've got to replace. So you're not growing if you're only replacing like for like. You're stagnating, and obviously that's not a good thing. Account management via what we would describe as key account management plans, having those agreements in place that you're jointly working towards. Expansion within your account, so that might be opening up, cross-selling into other departments, cross-selling into other regions. If you're working in EMEA and you want to maybe start selling into North America or APAC, something like that, that's where the expansion comes in. And then monthly recurring revenue and annual recurring revenue. I think most, even traditional businesses that are not SaaS, I think they need to develop strategies where they've got some form of monthly recurring revenue, because having that baseline helps hugely with finances, helps hugely with planning, and it just really takes the pressure off you. So if you're not in SaaS and you're wondering if those terms are new to you, then please don't think they're not relevant, because as I said, I generally think that monthly recurring revenue is an important thing. As a business, we're not SaaS, but we've got monthly recurring revenue coming in from companies who have us on a monthly coaching and training contracts. So it's just a great business model if you can get that moving. Last one, developing. People could potentially say, well, you would say this, Ian, because you're in sales training. So I get that, guilty as charged. However, it's impossible to grow sales. It's impossible to grow a business. Grow the people and they will grow the sales. So unless you've got a strategy to grow the skills of the people, to train, upskill them and constantly develop them, and that's existing and new people, then you're at some stage you're always going to plateau. You will always plateau. And if you think about there's lots of great analogies between sport and sales, and one of the best analogies is people like the sports teams like Manchester United. When Manchester United re-signed Cristiano Ronaldo, probably one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world, did he not go to training? Did he not get coached? Absolutely, he got trained, he got coached with everybody else, and he was happy to do it up until a point, obviously, which I'm not going to get into. But the top performers understand that they have to train and coach, and that's why they're the top performers. They know that, and they're happy to do it. Typically, if you go into an organization and people don't want to do training, they're never the people that are knocking the ball out the park in terms of constantly hitting their sales goals. So the top performers always want to train, because they're always looking for the edge. They're always looking for something an edge, something different, something new that's going to help them, and that's what makes them the top performers. So this is the model. There's the 4 areas. I know I promised 5 in the headlines there, and I'll talk about the fifth in a minute, but those are the four areas that we as a business, this is how we run our business, this is how we run sales. We constantly focus on finding, closing, growing and developing, and those form the basis of our 90-day sales plans, which we use to help keep us on track and take the strategy, if you like, and put it into action. And just before I show you those 90-day plans, here's some questions that I would suggest that you maybe think about for each of the quadrants in your business. So if we just start off with finding, ask yourself, what data do I have on finding? So without data, you're going to be making judgments, you're going to be making statements based on beliefs, not facts. So figure out, what data do I have at the moment that is going to help me identify how we perform as an organization on finding. And what we're looking to do is we're trying to establish a baseline for each of the four quadrants so that we can then move on. If you're a salesperson, look in your CRM and set the I've just been doing it in this actual very boardroom I'm in now with a client, working out how many new opportunities did you generate in the last calendar month? How many did you generate in the last 3 months? There's the data that you're looking for. So, what data do I have? What data should I have? So maybe you're struggling and you don't have the right data. Maybe it's there, but it's difficult to access. But think to yourself, what data should I have? And just to give you some ideas on that, would be, once we understand that you maybe generate, let's say you generate 10 new leads as a salesperson every month, so you've averaged 30. The next piece of data that might be important to you would be, which channels did those leads come from? Did they come from LinkedIn? Did they come from networking? Did they come from outbound calls? What are the channels that are working for you? And where obviously once you've got that baseline, then we can start to look for improvements. And lastly, what data is easy to collect? What we don't want is to create another job for you or somebody in the company just gathering data. So you may need to tweak some things in your CRM, but if you're using a tool like Salesforce, most of the stuff is built in there. So it's just a matter of finding it and focusing on that. And much as I love Salesforce, it's an amazing tool. It's like the Rolls Royce of CRMs. There's a lot of data in there, and it's easy to get confused and get somehow just lose your way because there's so much data in there. Other questions that I would ask, if you don't have data, score yourself on a 1 to 10, 1 being not so good, 10 being perfect, on where you are in each of these quadrants. And trust me, nobody's a 10. We're not a 10 in any of these quadrants. So I would say at best we're probably, at closing we're doing 42.22% closing marketing qualified leads. So I think that's pretty good, but I'd still say that that's only maybe an 8 out of 10, because I know that we can do better on that. And I know, most people, a lot of companies can't close 42% of sales qualified leads. So there's a range of things that you need to look at there. Other questions that you need to ask yourself is, once you've gone through this, where are the easy wins? So look for the easy wins, and which are the biggest levers. Now, I would suggest, if I just go backwards, there we go. I've got in that particular screen there, I've got 4 KPIs, metrics in each quadrant. My suggestion would be to start with 3. Start with 3 metrics in each quadrant that you can measure, that are going to give you an idea of how you are performing. And it's, if some of these metrics are showing 0, that's okay. That's your baseline. That's perfectly okay. That's your baseline. But create a simple grid like this. finding, closing, growing, right, and put 3 metrics in there, and make sure that you're tracking those every month, but make sure that it's easy to track. So this might take a little bit of time to set up, but once you've got it set up, it's super simple, and you can then add on, and you will see when I show you our 90-day plans, we've added on a lot of stuff because we're used to the system now, and we've still got the original 3 KPIs that we started off in each quadrant, but we've now gone up to, I think we've got 7 KPIs in each quadrant. Should we have more? Maybe. The danger is that you're spending your life gathering data and analysing data, and at some point you have to, what's that law? The law of diminishing returns. You have to figure out at what point is the data that you're gathering and analysing, is it worth the time that you're investing to get a return on that? And if the answer is yes, then keep going. Go for it. And I remember Tesco stores had literally hundreds of KPIs. That's a big organisation, though, and those were broken down. So I would always, even if you're as big as Tesco stores, always start off with something simple. And another area that I think that I know has helped our clients is that you have to assign ownership of each quadrant to an individual. If you're a business owner looking at this, if you're one of the biggest roadblocks with business owners is they become the blockage to growth in their business because everything's got to go through them. So wherever possible, devolve responsibility downwards to your team. If you don't feel that if you're not comfortable that they've got the skills, then that's what section 4 developing's for. You've got to use the grid to help get them to the stage that they need to be at. And maybe to start with, you only give them responsible for 1 metric within their quadrant. But where possible, have 1 person assigned to each quadrant. Typically, we're suggesting team leaders, and you've got a sales manager who's overseeing this. But have a team leader, have different people in the team. It's a great way to grow. If you've got an SDR team, it's a great way to help grow them if you give them ownership of some of these quadrants. And again, it helps remove the bottleneck, and it helps you develop and grow your people by getting them into the system of this management system, if you like. So let me just move forward again. So one of the things here, just as an example that I would suggest you look at, and this is really powerful for all our customers. You could call it the magic sauce. If we look in here, finding is always the area that our clients are struggling with the most. Finding's probably the biggest area of training that we do around, lead generation, prospecting, telesales, whatever you call it in your world. Finding new deals is super important. Now, one of the things that we found is that if as a company your salespeople are getting in front of prospects, the percentage ratio that they can convert has a huge impact on your financial performance. And if I can just show the example here. So on the left hand side, we've got 10 reps, you've got fixed costs. If your reps are getting a different salary, if they're paid in a different currency, it's the principle I'm sharing with you here, don't worry about the details. Desk costs are the things the overheads that the business has got and has to pay for just to actually to employ these reps. So that could be office space. If they're working from home, it's things like their Wi-Fi. It could be their travel costs. Everything that it includes as a business to actually employ those people. So those are the fixed costs. And let's pretend your reps do 30 dials a day, and you've got 10 reps. Multiply that, and that works out at 6,000 dials. I'm looking at that number, thinking I might have got that number wrong. So please forgive me if the math's wrong, but it's the principle that's right there. So if your reps, every time your reps pick up the phone, unless they've got a crystal ball, 50% of the calls they make will result in no answer. You know, no answer and not in. The person they're calling's not in. That's that's unavoidable. At least 50%. It might be more than that. So you're going to lose out those 6,000 dials. You're going to immediately drop down to 3,000. Out of those 3,000, you're going to lose another 50% because they don't want to have a conversation with you. For whatever reason, they don't want to have a conversation. They're not interested. Right? Out of those 750, right, you may then you're going to lose 50% again, and out of those 50, you may then create the 750 deals, and then from those you may create, you're going to lose 50% again, and you may create 375 deals. So if you work that out, and I know these numbers are rough, but it's the principle I'd like you to understand. If you work that out, and the deal value, the individual deals, £500 per annum, that comes to 187,500, and the cost, the cost per month. These are monthly figures. Remember, the cost per month then that you've invested for every £1,000, your return was 4,518. So that's your fixed cost. Now, what we talk about, if I go back to this, in the finding area, is work out a special offer, an offer that you're going to put in front of your prospects so that they cannot say no. It's so difficult for them to say no. It's such an enticing offer. Work out what that special offer is. And if you just then look at the math, and I don't have time, running a special offer, that's a whole training session on its own, right? And that's the stuff that we do with our paid clients. But the idea of a special offer, you've got the same overheads at the top. I'm looking down the right hand side of my chart here, my spreadsheet here, and you can see 6,000 dials, right? 50% of them are not in, right? 50% of them are in but don't want to have a conversation with you. But then all of a sudden, the bottom two rows there, you start to have conversations and you're putting the special offer in front of them. Now, we've only changed the rate of amortization, if that's the correct word, by 1%. So instead of losing 50%, we lose 49%. So it's only a 1% improvement. And trust me, you can end up with 10% improvement on these special offers. 1% improvement at each stage, right, in generating the number of leads. And then you've got a higher number of leads to close. You can see the difference there. That the costs stay the same, but the number of deals it would jump from 191,500, and the profit was from every £1,000 there was an increase to 4,600, 144. So it jumped up considerably. So that was an extra £4,000 per calendar month, an extra £48,000 per annum. So forgive me, I know the numbers are not right, but the principle here is, if you create a special offer so that when your sales folks do get in front of somebody, right, you can actually your chances of closing them increase. The effect on the numbers are huge. Now there are two rules about the special offers that I'm going to say, and these are my rules. You can do, it's your world, you do what you want. In our world, a special offer does not include a discounted price. It's not buy one forgive me, it's not buy one get one free, because that's going to reduce our margins. Anybody can come up with that with the greatest respect. A special offer in our world will be increasing the price by somehow increasing the value that the customer gets. So that's rule number one. And rule number two is, it's got to be easy for you to deliver. It's got to be really easy for you to deliver and fit in with your standard, your business as usual activity. So as long as you stick to those two things, special offers are not about reducing price, and it's easy to deliver. If you can work out what that special offer would look like, it'll have a huge impact on your conversion ratios. So again, if you want if you wanted to learn more about that, forgive me, this is what our paid clients pay us for. So, but again, we're more than happy to talk to you if it's of interest. So just before I stop, I am going to change screens here. I'm going to show you what this looks like in action in terms of how we actually run the business. So forgive me, I'm going to change screens here. I'm going to send this one live. So forgive me, you've got my face again. What I want to do is change this. Now, I'm going to assume, let me just double check that you can actually see this. It's just coming now. Just 2 seconds while the Wi-Fi comes up. Here we go. So this is Microsoft OneNote. The equivalent, if you live in the Mac world, the equivalent would be, I think, the product called Evernote is the equivalent to this. But this is Microsoft OneNote. It's a fabulous note-taking tool. We use it every day. We use it, and you can see here. I believe it comes free with the business version. I beg your pardon. Comes free with your M365 licensing, and it's just a fantastic tool. So here you can see we're great fans of 90-day sales plans. It helps us plan. It helps us keep track of what's working, what's not working, and it helps us understand where we need to put our focus. So the 90-day plan, each 90-day plan is split into finding, closing, growing, and developing. And what we do is these areas here, you can see on the left, what are the goals that we want to achieve. And now my goals are going to be slightly different to your goals because I'm running a business here. So I've got business goals which can be different. For example, some of my goals will be very marketing orientated and not relevant for salespeople. But you've got to make it fit your world. It's just a template. It's just a guide. So you can see there, what do we want to achieve? Inbound, dominate the organic rankings in Google. So at the moment, we've got 200 keywords in English on page 1 of Google and 200 in non-English languages. We think we can at least double or treble that. So that's something that we're working on. And there's what are the actions that we commit to actually do this. So those are the different things that we're actually committing to. What's our measurement of success? So 100 P1 P1. What does that mean? That means position 1 on page 1. I think we've got 70 rankings on position 1 on page 1. So that's the very first entry and after the adverts that we've got, and we want to get that number from 70 to 100 in this quarter. What do I need to win? So I know what I need to do. I know what needs to be done, but knowing what needs to be done and doing it is two different things. So I've got to get my time management right, and then when I've organized my time management, I need to have the self-discipline to do it. So you can see over there, if you follow that through, and if I look at the next one, you can see as it follows through, you can see the areas. It immediately identifies an area where I maybe need to up my skills, so that there's a training requirement. So this is the great thing. It all follows through and flows through to make sure that you're not just delivering a 90-day sales plan, you're actually using it as a development plan for your salespeople as well. So again, if I just, forgive me, just move this up here. So same thing, there's closing, increase sales by 400%. That's the goal. All right, what do I need to do this? Actions I commit to. How am I going to measure my success? So I've got there planned 40 deals at the proposal stage in CRM every month. So it's all very practical stuff. And again, you can see a lot of it: time management and self-discipline. I promise, if you can just get time management and self-discipline, your sales will improve. soft skills, negotiation skills, closing skills, all that's great stuff, but it's all worthless without time management and self-discipline. And I've got it there to constantly remind me that that's where I need to focus. And then we've got growing stuff, and then developing. So you can see there in terms of development, I'm learning German. I'm trying to lose some weight. After Christmas, I like my red wine too much. I like my restaurant food too much. I'm trying to lose some weight. And I've got all that down there. And personal development is inextricably linked with sales development. So your development shouldn't just be about, oh, I'm going doing a closer sales training course. It should be, what are you doing to develop as an individual? What's helping you with your build your confidence, making you stronger, sharper, smarter, so you can see in there that I'm learning German. I want to increase my marketing and branding knowledge. So you can see there, I've identified what did I do? I've identified a couple of courses that I can do, right? And I need to then work out when I can do this, because I've got to make sure that I've got time in my diary. I don't want to enroll in a course. And then there's one, increase my business knowledge. So enroll in a Harvard Business Strategy course, which again, I went away and found, right? But I need to work out when I'm going to be able to do that. So this stuff, we live and breathe this stuff, because this is what helps us. And it really helps us keep a focus on what is the most important thing to do to get deals over the line. The only other thing you can see is these. If you can see these tables. So every week, what I do is we run these. It's a simple to-do list. Red is a priority. Yellow is yellow is second priority. Priority 2. Amber is it's been started but not finished, and green is complete. And you can see I've got down there all my tasks that I need to do for the week. So this week, right, and I'm including my personal development. I'm going to go to the gym 3 times. I'm going to spend 30 minutes every day learning German. I've got to write 1 blog post every week, which came out. If I scroll over, you can see where that's come. 1 post per week. So you can see it's all linked together. I put it in my weekly to-dos. I've got to create 1 lesson. That's for an online course that we're developing. I've got to tweet 12 times a day. 12 times a day, 5 days a week. I've got to do 500 list emails. So you can see all my sales activity down there. So it reminds me and keeps me on top of the activity that I know drives sales leads, and which in turn leads create opportunities, create deals, and money. So you can see the different things in there that I've got to do. And sometimes you can see stuff's run over. I don't get everything finished. This one here, this year, I mean, I still do stuff on the website because as I said, I'm just running a business, not just doing sales here. So we've got a multilingual website, and I've got work to do on that. So you can see some stuff runs over, but I make sure my goal is, wherever possible, to get the stuff in red, which is the priority stuff. Make sure that I've always got the red stuff completed. And you can see most cases, if we go back, most of the red stuff's being done. Not all of it, but most of the red stuff. And you can also see that as I go on, my list is getting smaller because I'm getting on top of it. I'm getting on top of things, and I'm becoming more and more organized. So if you want a copy of these templates, this is all free. You can download from the website, and make them bespoke, customize them to your world. But using those 90-day sales plans and breaking it down from breaking it down into finding, closing, and growing is super. It really drives the efficiency. It makes sure that we're as effective as possible, and we've got the system where we're constantly repurposing content, for example, and we're probably, I would like to think that we're punching above our weight in terms of the size of business that we are, and our presence in the market and what we're doing. So it's just been really great for us. If it's not for you, no worries. But if it is for you, then please go to the website. Under the resources, you can access the template for the 90-day sales plan, which is in Microsoft Word, so you can immediately start to customize it to your world. So if I can just go back to my screen here, forgive me. I just go back, send this live. So just before I close, with me, there we go. So super grateful for you joining. Quick reminder, forgive the plug. If you're in London, Berlin, or Mumbai, at any point, April, May, September, we'd love to meet with you. We're running these go-to-market sales strategy sessions. Why would you turn up? You're going to end up with the outcome, the output from these sessions will be your own bespoke go-to-market sales strategy. Go-to-market is not something that's restricted to SaaS companies. We do a lot of work around this with companies who want to maybe introduce a new product, a new service, or who maybe just want to refresh their existing sales strategy. So we've got these sessions, and again, training's great. Strategy is super important, though. If you've got the right strategy and you're approaching the market in the right way, you're much more likely to be successful. We'd love to be part of your success there. So as always, any questions, please feel free to post the questions in the LinkedIn event page, or you can email me direct. My name's Ian, IAIN @closers.com, or you can get me on Teams. I'm on Teams nearly all day long on Teams chat, so you're more than welcome to contact me on Teams chat. Or you could actually use the telephone and call me. Numbers on the website. You're more than welcome to call me. It's great to get telephone calls now and again, just to speak to human beings. So thank you so much. Hope you've enjoyed this and got something out of the session. If you're viewing the recording later on YouTube, I've got to ask you to, I think, subscribe, like, share, and do whatever it is you do on YouTube. Again, I'm super grateful for everybody joining us, and hopefully you'll join us for the next session, which is next month, and I'll try and make sure that you get an invite. If you want to make sure you're on the invite list, please go to the events page on the Closers website, and you can sign up to get an invite every month. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the week for you. Thank you.